What is up, bros and broettes? I am Inkslasher, and today we are starting something brand new on the channel. This is actually something I did back in Advanced Warfare when weapon variants were back in Call of Duty. And I thought that since it was popular back then, maybe I could do it now and see what you guys kind of think. So, if you guys want to see more videos like this one, the way to show me is by hitting that like button. The more likes that this video gets, the more likely I am to do more videos like this. So, what is this video and what is it all about? So, today we're going to be looking at the RPR Evo, which just so happens to be one of my favorite weapons in the game, and looking at what is the best variants for that weapon. And by the end of the video, we'll come to a decision of what the best one is. Now, also, this series is going to function as a weapon guide, because by looking at all of the variants, we are also going to discover what the base variant, so in this case just the RPR Evo, what the stats look like on that weapon. So let's start right there with the stats of the RPR Evo. So as always, we start off with the damage profile, and the damage profile goes like this: 33 damage up close, 23 at short mid-range, 19 at long mid-range, and 16 at long range. Now, this ranges from a 4 to a 7 bullet kill, so a very, very wide range in between there. Now, this is kind of made up for with the fire rate. The fire rate on this weapon is extremely fast at 909 RPM. Now, if you're wondering what the range is like on this weapon, it's not great. So, it drops off from a 4 to a 5 bullet kill at 7.8 meters, a 5 to a 6 bullet kill at 14.7 meters, and a 6 to a 7 bullet kill at 19.6 meters, so almost 20 meters. So after those 20 meters, you're always going to be looking at a 7 bullet kill, but of course, we also have assault rifle mode for the RPR Evo, which we're not really going to focus on this video, but just know after that 20 meters, that is when you want to be using the assault rifle mode on the RPR Evo, after the 20 meters. So since the Evo has such a fast fire rate, this also means it has a really, really great time to kill. So in this case, up close, you're looking at a 1.98 seconds time to kill, ranging all the way down to a 0.396 second time to kill after those 20 meters. That's why I'm saying after that 20 meters, you really want to be using that assault rifle mode. But up close, this weapon absolutely shreds. After that, though, the smaller, less important stats kind of look like this. You got a 32 round magazine. The aim down sights time is 0.23 seconds, which is, by the way, the same as every single SMG in the game. The sprint out time is 0.156 seconds. The reload speed is 2.73 seconds. And that's kind of all of the important stats we really need to know for the Evo before looking at the weapon variants. So before looking at the weapon variants, it's already important to note that the RPR Evo is definitely one of the best weapons in the game without even having a variant, simply because it has such an amazing time to kill because of that fast fire rate. Not to mention, even if you're not close up to a person, this SMG can turn into an assault rifle and still do pretty damn well at long range, to the point where in competitive play, like COD World League, they're not even allowed to use the assault rifle mode simply because it wouldn't be fair. So that really says something about this weapon. So as far as when looking at weapon variants, the things that you want in a weapon variant are things that actually improve the weapon. So something that improves the fire rate, something that improves the damage profile, something along those lines is generally speaking what you want in a weapon variant. However, there are a lot of weapon variants for the RPR Evo specifically, but also throughout the game that don't do this. So one great example of this, specifically for the RPR Evo, is a rare variant called the Revenant. Now, the first perk for the Revenant is called Refund. It says missed bullets can return ammo directly to the stock of your ammo. So what this means is if you miss any bullets, you get those bullets back. Now, this seems like a good perk, but in reality, it kind of sucks. It doesn't improve your weapon whatsoever, and simply using something like Scavenger can do the exact same thing that this perk does. So really, it's just kind of a waste of a slot on the weapon. Similarly, with its second perk on the Revenant, it says it's Readiness. So it says reload faster when your magazine is empty. Once again, this seems like a good perk to have on your weapon, but when you really think about it, how often do you really reload with an empty magazine? Personally, I never reload with an empty magazine. Every single time I get into a gunfight, generally speaking, I am reloading the weapon, especially with the RPR Evo, which has a very, very fast reload speed already. It's kind of, once again, just a waste of the weapon perk. Like I said earlier, you want a variant that literally things are improving on the weapon, whether that be reload speed normally, not just when you have an empty magazine, aim down sights time, things along those lines, which in the case of the Revenant doesn't do any of those things. However, don't get me wrong, the Revenant is not a bad variant. It still improves on the base weapon, and if you have the Revenant, I would definitely suggest using it over the base weapon. It's just basically a slightly better version of it. However, what I'm getting at is that there's absolutely better variants than this one. So let's look at an example of a weapon variant that actually changes the way the weapon operates. Now, the first example I have of this for the RPR Evo is a legendary variant called the Modular. Now, the perk that really changes the way this weapon operates is stability, and it reduces recoil. Now, on top of that, it can stack with foregrip. So with the Modular, you get about a 3% recoil reduction, and with a foregrip, you get about a 7% recoil reduction. So it works about half as well as a foregrip. However, it stacks. So if you're really having trouble aiming with this weapon, this variant can actually help you aim with it. Now, the only problem I have with this variant is the second perk on the weapon called Roll the Dice. Now, this perk basically gives you a random attachment every time you spawn in on the weapon. The problem with this is it can actually give you certain items or attachments on your weapon that aren't very helpful, and that's the only problem I have with it. Things that are random in shooter games never are really going to improve your gameplay. So the next variant that I think is a little bit better than the Modular is another legendary variant called the Fission. Now, this one, the first perk on it is the Nuclear perk, which, if you get 25 kills without dying, gives you a Deatomizer Strike, which is nice, but once again, that does not improve the weapon. However, the second perk really improves the weapon. It's called Sharpshooter, and what this one does is it increases the damage range. Now, this also stacks with Rifled Barrel, but the interesting thing about this one is it improves the range on this weapon by about 9.5%. Now, this isn't huge because the range isn't amazing on this, but what this does is it changes that bullet range that drops off from a 6 to a 7 bullet kill to 21 meters. So you're getting an extra meter on top of most of your ranges, which is good, and it's going to help you out in a whole bunch of different situations, but also you get the Nuclear perk on top of that. But I still think there are better variants than this one. And it just so happens that the two variants for the RPR Evo that I think are the best two just so happen to be epic variants. And in fact, this isn't normally the case. In fact, as you're going to see as this series progresses, this isn't normally the case. There's often times where epics are not as good as, let's say, a legendary or rare, or sometimes even commons, but we'll see that as this series progresses. But in this case, with the RPR Evo, I would definitely say that both of the epic variants are definitely the two best for this weapon. So let's look at those. So the first weapon variant for the Evo that's the epic that we're going to look at is the Ripper. Now, this is probably one of the most popular variants in the game, and this one is definitely very good. So the first perk we got on this weapon is Reckless, which increases the fire rate. So this changes the fire rate from 909 RPM to about 954 RPM. Now, what this essentially does is improves all of your time to kills by about 5%, give or take, depending on your range. But that's pretty good. So basically what this weapon is going to do is improve your time to kill at every single range over top of the base RPR Evo. On top of that, the Ripper has a second perk that's also pretty good called Focus. Now, this one reduces your idle sway, and it does so by 50%, so a very large percent. The thing is, though, is reducing idle sway isn't actually a huge deal on weapons unless you're looking at a sniper rifle. Reason being, idle sway really only improves your game when you're not shooting a weapon. And let's face it, you only kill people with weapons when you're shooting that weapon. So yes, it's going to improve your aim a little bit. However, the negative part about the Ripper is that your recoil gets much worse with the Ripper than the base variant. And in fact, this is quite noticeable, and I suggest if you do use the Ripper, you definitely use a foregrip and any other thing that can improve your recoil whatsoever. The reason why you have a worse recoil is because of that faster fire rate. It doesn't give your center speed the same amount of time to reset to the center of the screen. However, having a faster time to kill is definitely worth trading a little bit more recoil for. So I think that the Ripper is the second best variant, simply because yes, you're going to have a faster time to kill, but also you're going to have to deal with a lot more recoil. The RPR Evo's best variant, in my opinion, is the Baasozoku. I have no idea if I said that right, but unfortunately, this is a Quartermaster variant, and it's an epic variant, so it's pretty hard to get out of supply drops. But the thing is with this variant is there's absolutely no negatives to it whatsoever. Absolutely none. So the first perk that this one has is Below the Belt, and you get bonus damage towards the groin. So basically, you shoot someone in the dick, it does more damage. On top of that, you also have reduced recoil because of the stability perk, But the magical part about this weapon is it has no negative aspect. You get increased damage to the dick, and you get less recoil. Whereas if we look at the only other variant for the RPR Evo that has less recoil, the modular, you also have to deal with the roll the dice perk, which, like I said earlier, is a perk I don't actually even like. I wish it wasn't on the modular whatsoever, because once in a while, I spawn in with a suppressor or something weird that I don't actually want on the weapon. So to me, because the Baasozoku, or however you say it, has no negative aspects, you get increased damage, and on top of that increased stability, I definitely think it's the best variant. The second best variant to me is the Ripper, followed by the Fission, simply because you get that increased damage range. And once again, for the Fission, there's no negative aspects for it. So those are the three best variants for the Evo if you ask me, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. And like I said earlier in the video, if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos just like this one, the way to show me is by hitting that like button. The more likes this video gets, the more likely I am to upload more videos like this one. So if you like what you see, hit that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel and want to stay up to date on all my videos, the way to do so is by hitting that subscribe button down below. Also, on top of that, you can check out my Twitch, Twitter, all of that crap down in the description. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, peace out.